2 breaks, by the way.
Welcome into a live edition of the Casey Laboratory presented by Emprise Bank, member FDIC, our incredible partners in Possible. I'm Ken Swanson, and I'm sorry I'm taken aback. Craig Stout and Maddie Lane are here, but Maddie Lane is his flow is undeniable right now, and I just got to understand what's going on here, Matthew.
Yeah, I like football.
I don't get it, Maddie. Like I will be the first to admit it. I don't get this bit.
Listen, there's no bit here. We are going on a Disney cruise, and my son is dressing up as Moana, and he's terrified of the hair. So I told him I'd wear the hair on the podcast.
You're Maui. Got it.
Yeah. It's a little too long to be Maui, though. That's what and it's for a kid.
A little bit.
It's super long, right? But he doesn't want to wear it. So I told him I'd wear it on a podcast for him. So this way it's less embarrassing when he has to wear it on a cruise ship.
I love it. I love it.
It's probably going to come off in a second. It's really hot in here.
Is it? Would anybody like to comment on my flow?
Someone did ask me and Briscoe on 21 Questions the other day who would look the best in a perm. And Maddie won.
Yeah. I fully agree with that.
Maddie he'd play. Especially because he's easily, he's also probably the strongest person in KC Sports Network right now because Mike DeVito's not here and Jeff Allen's not here.
Yeah. That is the full reason why.
Derek Johnson, Chase Daniel.
Really, I'm just cutting all the competition out.
I like that you're going in order, like off the dome. Like that's probably in order.
Yeah.
Especially with the
but I think
going, this thing is.
I think the muscle perm combination would work well. And then you came in second, Craig. Like you with a full head of hair. Oh yeah, and the mustache. Like imagine you in a perm with the mustache would play very.
Hold on here. Let me pass this over to you, and we'll.
Thank you. I'll just take it. Oh, other side. I got a mirror. Yeah. No. Gentlemen, we have football in 2 days. Real life Chiefs football. We're ignoring tomorrow night's sham. We're not paying attention to that. Real life football happening in 2 days. I am ridiculously excited. It's finally here. We are doing our first game preview of the season, first regular season game preview of the season. The Chiefs play football in 2 days. I am beyond excited.
We're beyond geek too. I can't believe it's gotten here so quickly. I joked on Monday, like shout out Labor Day for kind of speeding up the week, kind of helps out big time here. So I'm geeked out. This is the most excited I've been for a football season, I think, in a while. Just feels different. The vibes are incredible, and we get to watch Josh Simmons play football too. So anyways, this is the game preview edition of the KC Laboratory. We are going to be kind of just looking at both sides of the football, getting you ready for this massive game just to start off the season. Chiefs-Chargers, a huge divisional matchup, technically the road game for the Los Angeles Chargers. Going to be a home game for the Los Angeles Chargers, so a road game for the Chiefs. Very much looking forward for this matchup here in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Getting to both sides of the football today. We are starting.
Before we do that, can we touch on a couple things? Maybe have happened. Some like quick news heading into this. Jalen Royals not traveling with the team. He's not going to play. Right. That's not huge, but that's worth noting. I think it sounds like a lot of other players, everybody else has been relatively healthy. It seems like trying to get ready for this game. Something that really did catch my attention, though, and this is really the reason I wanted to talk about it. Get a little, listen to Dave Tobe talk. He was asked who was going to be the other returners back there with Nico Remigio. And he specifically said Tyquan Thornton and Brashard Smith. And that part doesn't matter to me as much of like them being back there for the returners. That did let me know, hey, Brashard Smith's probably suiting up on game day, though. So I would guess by process of elimination, Elijah Mitchell is not. And we'll have to wait and see, find out. Obviously, I could be wrong about this, but if I were to try to read between the lines and stuff, and I think, as fans, that's pretty exciting that you might get to see the rookie that has a little bit of juice going out there. So yeah, that's just something that did catch my eye before we went into this.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the case. Jalen Royals, obviously not a big surprise there. Been nursing this injury for quite some time. But yeah, I think if we were to have had to make an inactive list before listening to any pressers or any of that, I think Brashard Smith probably would have made most of our inactive lists just because he's a rookie, late round rookie. He's still getting accustomed to how they're going to use him and things like that. There were some reports saying that the Chiefs did have some ideas on how they wanted to use Smith and that he was going to factor in a little bit in the offense as the season went along. I certainly don't expect that it's going to be week 1. So don't everybody go out and pick him up in fantasy right now and start him. I'm not condoning for that. But that does give him a path to get some package plays put together for him if they need to on offense. So I do think that the pathway to him being a contributor just got paved essentially. So I'm pretty excited to hear that out of Dato because I think we all want a little more juice in that running back room, and he certainly got that.
When they soft launched the package for him, right? In preseason week 3, you saw him do a few things there. Kind of wonder if you're gonna see what?
You're good, buddy. You're good. Please keep going.
You said soft launch a package and it made me laugh. I'm sorry. I forgot my mic was on.
Did you realize your mic was on? Because did you realize your mic was on when you were telling me right at the intro of the show that we needed 2 breaks as well?
Yeah, I did know that. Well, yeah, I was just trying to get in quick communication as quick as possible. That was a Kirk Herbstreit moment for me right there when he said you're bad, and then I laughed at your phrasing.
This is a professional
hand
show.
Hand up. That one's on me.
I think professional
win.
Professional highlights everything we got going on right now.
It's a professional show with professional hair, professional mustaches. Craig's got a collar on today. This is serious business. But anyways,
okay, go ahead and soft launch your package, Kent.
I'm not soft launching mine, but I will.
You're hard launching it.
I think we soft launched Brashard Smith's package. In that week 3 preseason game, you saw him utilize him a few different ways, try to get him involved. I mean, the depth of the first target was down the field, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was 10 plus yards down the field. That was pretty nice. And then they hit him with a little angle route later. I do think that Brashard Smith might have a role in this offense sooner rather than later. And so I do think you might see the Brashard Smith experience on offense this week. I think you'll see a few things there. Especially if they're trying to push the ball down the field, having someone that can eat underneath that'll be valuable out of the backfield. So I am paying attention to that. I think Elijah Mitchell is an inactive for week 1 would be my guess. I don't know if they're just trying to maintain inventory there. They know give him time to be a little bit farther removed from the injury, catch up, and then the inevitability of a Kareem Hunt falling off a little bit as the season goes on, like he did last year. Maybe an opportunity to get Elijah Mitchell involved in that capacity somewhere there too. So I think there's opportunities and roles for all those guys throughout the season. They kept Elijah Mitchell for a reason. And so I think just maintain that inventory for a little bit. Anything else interesting, Matthew?
No, I think that was it, really. Just want to talk about
Royals
injury, making he not travel the team. Want to talk about, I think, Brashard Smith being active on game day, because we all talked about leading up to it how we didn't know where he stood in the pecking order, and then he soft launched his package on the final preseason game. And that way, that gave people a little bit more confidence. But now I just think you finally get, this is the final bit of confidence boost that I needed to say, hey, he is going to most likely, I think, be suited up. And so I wanted to talk about that before we dove in, because I don't want to speak for you guys. Brashard Smith did not make one of my burning questions about the offense in the first game of the year. So I wanted to make sure we got this out there first.
He did not make.
He was my burning question for offense and defense. So thanks for burning all of my content, Maddie.
Can Brashard Smith rush?
You gonna head out?
Am I gonna head out? Yeah. I'm just gonna take off.
All right, let's start with the offensive side that I tried to do 7 minutes ago. Let's get this thing going. We are going to be doing things a little bit different. We're going to try the burning questions thing that we've been doing during the preseason, and each brought to the table one burning question on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. And so we'll kick this thing up. I don't know who's going first. Who's going first, Tuck? Is it up to us?
I mean, I usually just kind of go off of you. I mean, offense is first. Everyone's offense is first, and then everyone's defense is next. Yes,
Okay,
that's how I have it.
So the graphic is individual to us. That is the question we're asking.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, got it.
All right, so Craig should start.
Perfect.
Okay, yeah, sounds good.
AJ and Beauty first.
My burning question is, do we see actual Hollywood Brown target volume this week? A lot has been made of Rashee Rice, his suspension. A lot has been made of the downfield passing game with Xavier Worthy, Tyquan Thornton. A lot has been made of Travis Kelce slimming down and looking a little bit more spry. Hollywood Brown was the wide receiver 1 for this team last year. They brought him in with full intention of feeding him lots and lots and lots of targets. And he obviously had the preseason injury that limited his ability to contribute last year. He was not the same player when he came back at the end of the year. They needed wide receiving options on this team. So it definitely felt like they tried to get him back, or he was trying to hurry back. Don't want to put, like saying he wasn't trying to get back. He definitely was as well. But we didn't get to see what this offense looked like with Hollywood Brown in a full capacity. We are now coming into this season. The Chiefs know that Rashee Rice was going to get suspended at some point in this season. They even said it's not a surprise to us. We expected this. Hollywood Brown is going to contribute in a major way. I know that he's fragile. I know that we can't really expect for him to be a 16-game player for this offense. There's going to inevitably be something that pops up. But for week 1, I absolutely believe that he is part of this game plan. He's going to operate off the middle of the field. He's going to run some in-breaking stuff. He's got the vertical stretch ability, but they've already got 2 guys that have that vertical stretch ability as well. He is going to be a little bit of the forgotten receiver in this lineup. People aren't talking about him enough. People aren't talking about the fact that he is healthy. He is going there. He's going to play as many snaps as possible. They need somebody that can line up, can beat man coverage, that can fit in this offense well. It is year 2. He got to practice all training camp, got to line up and do everything that this offense needed him to do last year. It's not new to him. He knows where he needs to be. I just think that we're all sleeping on Hollywood Brown a little bit at the beginning of the year here when they need somebody to step up in Rice's absence. I think we're going to see at least 6 targets go Hollywood Brown's way in week 1. And it could be even more than that. I predicted that he would have over 100 last year if he stayed healthy. And obviously that didn't work out. But I do think they've got big ideas for how they're going to use Hollywood Brown.
I feel like he's in an interesting spot because going into last year, he was the guy I think that you kind of expected to be their main outside wide receiver. Probably not like your traditional X where you're on the line of scrimmage against press a lot, but he was expected to play outside and be a little bit more of your possession guy. And that's some of the stuff that he did in Arizona. He was a good zone beater. He worked the intermediate area of the field, the middle of the field pretty well. But then he gets hurt. And when he came back for the Chiefs, they didn't really do that. Almost all of his work came being protected off the line of scrimmage, which isn't crazy, but it wasn't split out wide. It was a lot of motion stuff. It was a lot of stuff out of the slot in bunched packages where he was getting off the line of scrimmage of protected and releasing behind another receiver. So they didn't. I don't know if we ever saw what the Chiefs really planned to do with Hollywood Brown last year or this year. Or if we did, then I would say I don't think he's going to be a volume target guy with them if how they used him last year is their plan. I just don't know what it's going to be. I was just kind of looking through and he actually saw 20% of his targets. It wasn't a lot last year, but 20% of them were downfield. 0 completions, but 20% of his targets were downfield. There was a fair amount to the intermediate range. And so I think when the Chiefs have their full array of wide receivers available, I actually think he might be the guy that finds himself most on the outs of that group, just because it seems like Xavier Worthy and him, the way they used Hollywood last year and the way they can use Xavier Worthy, and then Rashee Rice and what he can do, it kind of feels like Hollywood Brown's the guy that'll find himself the most on the outside of that group. Like his role or what they were having him do last year is the most replaceable by all those other guys. However, right now without Rashee Rice, you have an open spot. So I am curious to see what they do with him. We haven't got to see it in the preseason. We didn't get to see it last year. It's a massive unknown right now. So yeah, I'm a little curious just to see what they try to do with him beyond the volume. Just what are they trying to do with him compared to last year and compared to what Arizona was doing with him 2 years ago?
I'm going to give you a guess. How many targets did Rashee Rice have in the regular season last year in the 2 games that he played? Do you know off the top of your head?
Didn't he play 3 games, right?
Played 2 regular season games.
He got hurt in the 3rd.
Sorry, Hollywood.
Right?
I said Hollywood Brown.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. I thought you said Rashee Rice.
Maybe I did. Did I say?
He had a lot of targets. They forced the ball to him, but it was a lot of, I'm going to say like 13, 14. They threw the ball to him a lot, and it wasn't for a lot of yards.
Yeah. It was in the mid-teens. Yeah.
7.5 per game over 2 games.
Yeah.
Okay. He got 15 targets in 2 games, 45 yards, 46 yards in those 2 games. 2 targets in the AFC divisional round. Tried to push the ball down the field. That didn't work. 3 catches, 35 yards on 5 targets against the Bills. I think a lot of that was early script too, if I remember correctly. And then 2 catches, 15 yards on 6 targets against the Philadelphia Eagles. 28 targets over 5 games. How many targets do you think over under 5.5 targets for Hollywood Brown? Sorry, Hollywood Brown. Over. 5.5 targets for Hollywood Brown against the Chargers.
I'm going to say over.
Over. Okay.
I'm gonna go under. I actually think his usage might be more similar to what it was last year. I think Worthy might get all of like the real movement. We're designing the offense for Worthy will step more into the Rashee Rice role, in my opinion, than Hollywood Brown will. And I think this year the Chiefs have Tyquan Thornton, and I think he's going to get a lot more run than some fans think on the outside. Because I saw this question here come through the chat here. I think from Zach, who do you want to beat press on the Chiefs? Like, one, nobody's great at it. But if I'm going to throw somebody out there a bunch, it's going to be Tyquan Thornton. And we've already seen it when he gets a chance to get vertical. I mean, there's very few guys in the league that are running as fast as him, including Hollywood Brown at this point. So I just think that Hollywood Brown, I'm going to go the under because I don't know. It feels like right now, from the very little that we've seen, he kind of has to be the first read on a play for me to feel confident that he's being involved in it. And I think you would rather that go to healthy, in shape Travis Kelce and Xavier Worthy and design some just up for some other guys.
Calling all Chiefs fans, you could be on the field at the 50-yard line inside GEHA Field for the official coin toss at a Chiefs home game this season. Visit Chiefs.com/GEHA now and enter to win a chance to be on the field for a once-in-a-lifetime view of the pre-game coin toss. And I'm telling you, it is like being down on the field during that time is like I've been on the field for like the national anthem also. It's incredible. It'll be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Plus, you could score other exclusive prizes. Enter for a chance to win at Chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is the proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
What's up, guys? I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network, and I'm here to talk to Kansas City businesses. If you rely on technology, you need an IT support team that's not just another vendor, but a true IT partner. That's why I want to introduce you to my friend and neighbor, KJ Miller. He is a VCIO at ThrottleNet, the Midwest's highest rated and most reviewed IT support company. They've been in business for more than 25 years, helping companies stay secure, productive, and ahead of the curve. They aren't just IT support, but they provide data security, IT strategy, and cloud software services. They do it all, and their reviews show they do it better than anyone else. So if you want to hear about how ThrottleNet can help your local business, join the conversation with myself, KJ Miller from ThrottleNet, and our resident genius from KC Sports Network when it comes to IT, at least as he's affectionately known by us, Mr. Craig Stout. Click the link in the description to hear how ThrottleNet can help you.
I think that was Craig Stout's first time seeing the ThrottleNet ad, and it was very fun to watch him behind the scenes, seeing that for the first time. What a great picture of that beautiful man.
I really need you guys to stop throwing around G words associated with me. Great, genius, whatever the case. Just stop, please.
Gorgeous.
Okay, I'll take that one.
I'll take Maddie's
glorious
question is what I'll take.
Oh, I think my question. Okay. So my question is, can the Chiefs get back to 5 out looks and quit having to protect their offensive line? And essentially what I'm asking here is, can the Chiefs go back to getting 5 receivers out into routes? We've seen over the past couple seasons now, the Chiefs have really had to protect their offensive tackles, but I didn't want to just harp entirely on just the offensive line and how they're going to pass pro. I want to talk about like the impact of that. And so this past week, I've gotten the big itch on like, hey, let me go back and learn everything I can about football. And I have been digging through all of these offensive playbooks that are related to Andy Reid. And I'm going through some installs that they have, as I have found to come across. And almost every single one of them is 5 receivers out in the pattern for like through 2 installs now. There's a couple play action passes that are, more guys staying in to protect. But for the most part, it's a lot of 5-man routes. Off the top of my head, and like I have no way to quantify this, it doesn't feel like the Chiefs the past 2 years have run a near as many 5-out routes as they have in the past. Or if they do, it's almost all with hard chips from a tight end or a running back as they go out into the route. And what happens then is your timing gets thrown off and you now have guys getting into the route a little bit later. Yes, that's baked into the design a little bit, but if we're going to sit here and ask for explosive plays and to push the ball downfield, it kind of helps if you can start stretching a defense and creating the triangle that you're trying to read here and create space. If my tight end can get 10 yards down the field by the time I get to the back of my drop, rather than still having to wait for him because he had to go chip Max Crosby. No, not even Max Crosby. He had to go chip the average Jag defensive end across from him to save your offensive tackle, right? So
the Chiefs didn't play the Jaguars last year.
I'm going to ask you guys, do you guys think we see, and again, without being able to quantify this, do you think we see the Chiefs get into more 5-out looks, or do you think for this first game against the Chargers, they played a little safer and continue to offer a ton of help to these tackles via chips and keeping guys in to pass protect?
I think that Andy in the past has thrown his tackles out there with minimal help. He wants to see if they can survive on an island, and so they start every game, unless they're going up against Myles Garrett because he's not insane, but they start most games against defenses and say, we're going to try and get 5 in the route as often as possible. We are going to try and just block with the 5 guys that we have up front, unless, it's a heavy blitzing team. You got to keep guys in, all of that, normal standard offense stuff. Andy Reid wants to see these tackles fail before he starts chipping, before he starts helping. He's got to see it happen first. And we see that time and time again. That's why some of the early season games are brutal to watch, because Andy is letting guys like Kingsley Suamataia or Wanye Morris be on an island and just try and block guys that, frankly, they're a little bit outclassed by. Josh Simmons is a better football player than those 2 are at offensive tackle. So I think he's going to wait and he's going to see, because he wants to get 5 in the route. And I think against this Chargers defense especially, it makes a ton of sense. I don't look at this defense and say, oh, wow, they're really going to get after the passer. They've got some guys. It's a fine pass rush. It's going to be fine. But it's not one that you feel like you need to keep everybody in, max protect, try and get down the field as much as possible. I feel like it behooves them to get 5 in the route, to get somebody like an Isaiah Pacheco or Brashard Smith or Kareem Hunt matched up against Deion Henley's a bad example. He's a good linebacker, but Denzel Perryman, if you can get that matchup or something like that, try and get advantageous matchups, which they have been able. They've struggled with those in the past couple of years because they've had to offer so much help. They've had to offer so much to this offensive line. I think they get out there, and I think that they get 5 in the route as often and as early as possible, and it's up to those tackles to do their job to keep it to the point where they can keep 5 in the route.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of throw him to the fire too. Like I think Andy's proved that he's willing to do that a little bit, like throwing Kingsley into the fire with like 12 preseason reps. I think they'll give him a shot, and I think they'll see how he handles Khalil Mack out there. I think they'll give him a shot to try to go one-on-one against him and see what happens. Maybe they're a little judicious at times with it. And Andy's offense, right? They're going to get out in traditional drop. They're always going to have a bunch of different variances. They're going to have a bunch of little things that they're going to be running at all times anyway. Like they're going to have plenty of opportunities to protect him, but I don't think they're going to be scared to call an empty protect. to call a 5-man protection. So like I don't think they're going to be afraid. And honestly, like getting into a true empty look helped out a little bit too. And kind of helped them a little bit too in that regard as well. Just I think that's a good opportunity for them to just kind of get out there. So.
Yeah, and I think the Chargers are a good game for it because it's not like it's the most dynamic pass rush they're going to see all year, right? Like it's a good pass rush. It's like a good quality, like average, middle of the road, especially in the edges, average NFL defensive end like pairing, and that's what you're going to get. So I think it's a good place to like start to set the barometer. To Craig's point on how they start the year, I went and looked this up. In week 1 last year, the Chiefs ran 34 pass plays, and the running back on the field went out on a route on 32 of them. Now, this doesn't include chips or anything like that, but 32 of 34 plays, a running back on the field was considered going out for a route. By week 16, this is to get the Texans, maybe a slightly better defensive line, but the Ravens are still good. The Ravens still had a good one, especially for week 1. They're down to 79%. It's like that's a pretty significant drop off. And this is, again, not including chips of any kind. This is just a running back staying in to pass protect on those plays. So I do think you might see them come out here in week 1 and test those tackles. And I think it's a good matchup for that because you are going up against a quality but not elite pass rush unit.
And just to tag up on that really quick, one of those defenses did not need to blitz to get pressure. And it was the one later in the season where you had the running back in more often. So yeah, that's scary. That's scary to think of.
Well, man, even against the Bills in the playoffs, it might have even been worse. I would have to go through the whole numbers, but just looking at it now, it looks like it might even be worse than that 79%. So yeah, as the year went on, they had to keep more and more halfbacks in just entirely. So just notable.
And Andy loves to get 5 out when he can because those are the most fun plays to draw up.
Yeah.
So it's like of his playbook.
That's when he's awake late at night drawing. Like it's not okay, well, if we keep everybody back in pass pro and we keep all this, we get these 3 guys out in the route. No. He's like, how can I get 6? Can I legally figure out a way to get 6?
We're just gonna throw back to the tackle. Tuck, we'll throw my question up. We're not throwing to the tackles, gentlemen. Here's my question. Were the vertical passing game improvements all talk, or is it actually happening? That's my big question for this game. Look, I am so gassed up about the vertical passing game this year. We got to see hints of it. We saw Tyquan Thornton catching a 58-yard pass in the week 3 game. We've heard the emphasis all offseason about pushing the ball down the field. The Chiefs kept 18 receivers on the 53-man roster because they're going to be pushing the ball down the field. They're going to be running those routes deep, and they're going to need bodies to keep up with all the mileage that they're putting up on this down the field. At least that's the hope. I want to see it. I really want to see an aggressive downfield Patrick LaVon Mahomes getting aggressive, trying to fit balls down the field, trying to push the ball down the field. And I've heard the talk and I believe it. I just want to see it. I want to see when it comes crunch time, when it's time to roll, when the games matter. I want to see this team actively going out there and not just trying to play the ball control, good defense version of this team that we've seen the last couple of years. I want to get back to establishing the fun. And I want to believe that this team is going to be pushing the ball down with Thornton, which is why he's here, and with Xavier Worthy and with Hollywood Brown, which, by the way, the vertical passing game, that being the best, gets you the best version of Travis Kelce at this age. Because if you've got more downfield action, you're creating more space for him to operate. Same with Rashee Rice when he ever gets back too. But I do think that the career renaissance of Travis Kelce can occur with the vertical passing game, working him underneath. And I do think that this team can do some things, make some explosive plays, and bring back the fun again. I just want to see it. And I want to see it in week 1.
I think your point and mine are kind of like related to one another, right? Because I really do think the Chiefs have gotten stuck to where the only time they can ever push the ball downfield is going max protect off of hard play action. Like they have not trusted their protection to get to push the ball downfield at all. And that is still where the majority of your like legitimately over the top deep shots are going to come. But if you go back and watch some of those early Patrick Mahomes seasons, they were still pushing the ball 15, 20 yards downfield on crossers, post, corner routes, and they were doing it on shorter drops, and it wasn't coming off a hard play action. Like not every explosive play has to be a go route. 50 yards down the field. You can definitely stretch the field with other stuff. And it just doesn't feel like they've been able to get into that, because when you only have 3 guys getting into your route quickly, it's really hard to pull the safeties one direction or another and then have somebody else come free underneath. Or it's really hard to give a guy time to get by their corner when there's a safety ready to get over the top. So it's just, I do think if they can get more guys in the route, if they can trust the protection to hold up, you have more opportunities to get the ball downfield, number one. And then number two, yeah, I got to see if Patrick Mahomes, does he want to be more aggressive, or does he want to be more aggressive, or does he feel like he needs to be? I guess is the difference here. You can want to be more aggressive all you want, but if you don't feel that you need to be to win games, I don't know if stuff will change as long as teams play the shell coverages that they are going to keep playing across the entire league versus every team.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think we all have these dreams and illusions of getting back to the 2018 Chiefs that were just bombs away. That's just not the reality anymore. Everybody, the game has changed in the past, 7 years. They really have. It's not something where you can line up and just hit on these go routes all the time, run these deep crossing routes that are now wide open because you're throwing to a 4-2 Tyreek Hill, and for whatever reason, the defense decided that they were just going to have a single high safety rotating in the middle of the field. It doesn't look that way anymore. So yeah, I want to see some of those route combinations that are deeper. I don't want just slant flat and mesh over and over and over again in this offense. It's fine to run it. You got to, because you got to keep everybody honest that you are willing to do that. You can have dudes that can break tackles, still get first down, still make explosive plays out of that. But you also have to have deeper route combinations to try and throw off some of these coverages, make them second guess where guys are coming from, and try and hit those downfield things by having more than just Xavier Worthy out there that can run this, because that's what it was. Justin Watson was great for what he was, which is lining up at 13 personnel, blocking his ass off, and getting a little bit of verticality on his routes. He's not separating the way that Thornton and Worthy and even Hollywood Brown can downfield. So give me guys that can run some of these deeper route combinations and give me the protection up front to where you can feel like you can read a safety at 25 yards down the field and know, hey, I can go deep over this guy, or it's going to come open underneath that. That's what I want to see. I want to see more of those 30-yarders. The 60-yarders are beautiful, gorgeous. I love those, especially when they result in touchdowns. Give me more of the consistent 25 to 35 yarders down the field. Those are explosive plays too. And that makes everybody have to back out of the box. You're able to run the ball more. You're able to run your short game better. You're able to help Travis Kelce out better. That's what I want to see. How does that section of the field look like? And I think that that's part of the explosive or deep passing game as well.
All right, it is time for offensive players to watch for game 1 of the Chiefs 2025 season. Craig, we'll start with you.
I mean, I'm taking the low-hanging fruit here, fellas. Kingsley Suamataia is my player to watch. This offensive line is going to go as far as Kingsley is going to take them, in my opinion. Pass pro was rough in the preseason. It got a little better as the preseason went along, but it was still rough. All of this stuff that we're talking about, them being able to do, get 5 in the route, get downfield, all of that, you can't have one position that is giving up that kind of ground and crushing the pocket and creating problems for Patrick Mahomes. It's better than having 3, but it's still not an ideal scenario. If this offense wants to hit the heights that they want to hit and that we believe that they can hit, Kingsley has to be an average guard. I'm not saying he's got to be exceptional. An average guard. Go out there, line up, allow Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Jawan Taylor, and Joshua Simmons to go out there and do the things that they need to do. He just needs to be fine. And so fine is what I'm hoping that we get to see in week 1, and maybe he'll grow into it as the season goes along. We've seen that, especially with higher athletic picks and things like that. They get put into these other positions. Now, all of a sudden, they improve as they go along. Mekhi Becton is a prime example of a player that has gotten better and his move to guard. I want to see if Kingsley can be that guy. So I got my eye on him all game long.
Jesse Newell wrote an incredible piece in The Athletic on my player to watch, Josh Simmons. I am beyond elated to be watching Josh Simmons play a real football game. And like, I think this is a guy that the Chiefs have no business having on their roster right now. And like, I know Maddie didn't want to just talk about the entirety of offensive line, and we're about to, but don't care. We need to talk about Josh Simmons, because I think this guy has the ability. I think we've all talked about it. We've all acknowledged it. This guy has the ability to be one of the best tackles in football. He really does. He has an ability to be on that top 10 list as soon as next year if he plays the way that we think he's capable of playing. And tackles are hard to come by. And we look at this list. If you go and look at the list of tackles, I think it thins out after the top 10. But that's the kind of ability that this guy has. And so I have a feeling I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to watching the Chiefs' prized rookie this year get an opportunity to earn that spot, and we'll see how thrown to the fire he really gets from by Andy Reid in this game, because I think they have a lot of trust and confidence, and I think they might as well just throw him to the wolves and see what happens. So Josh Simmons is my player to watch. Maddie, who's yours?
You guys going with the lowest of hanging fruits, just taking the guys right there at the bottom of the barrel, something that, everybody's talked about all offseason. Not I. I'm going branching out. We're going to somebody else. There's been a lot of talk about a lot of different players this offseason for the Chiefs. Mahomes and where he's trying to go with the ball down the field. All this talk about the offensive line. Rashee Rice this, Tyquan Thornton that. We're talking Hollywood Brown targets. Hey, what about Xavier Worthy? We haven't talked about Xavier Worthy in a lot this summer. He didn't get any real passes. I mean, he played, but didn't get any real targets or anything like that during the preseason. And I mean, I'm not saying it's on purpose to hide him. I don't know. I'm just curious to what the Chiefs have going on. There's a lot of one-on-one reps coming out of training camp where he was getting the best of Trent McDuffie at times. They're one-on-one, so take them with a grain of salt. But that's good competition you're going up against. He seemed to be making plenty of plays during camp, during 7-on-7, during team portion. So it's not like he was having a bad camp. We just haven't seen much from Xavier Worthy since he had a very fantastic second half of the Super Bowl. I understand it was a blowout, but now you started to see Worthy threatening downfield, being this dynamic over-the-top threat to pair with him being very difficult to cover in man coverage on these outbreaking routes from the slot. And now without Rashee Rice, I just do think you might have a lot of those plays designed to get receivers in space going to Worthy. And he looks a little bit thicker this year. He was breaking a couple arm tackles from time to time towards the end of last year. Maybe we get more of that. So I think Xavier Worthy could be on track for a pretty big game here for a guy that just we haven't talked about for being a first-round pick last year that played very well.
Those were offensive picks for us, but why don't we get a different kind of pick in here? How about Benny's pick?
What's good, everybody? KCSN betting analyst Benny Heiss here. I will be talking about my favorite play for the Chiefs game coming up in just a second, but something hit me as I was driving to the Missouri side. Ironically, for something not available on the Kansas side, but I cross over and I think to myself, I just can't get over how long sports fans living in Missouri have been waiting. Feels like forever. We don't have to wait much longer because DraftKings Sportsbook, yep, the big one, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is coming to the Show Me State. And you might be thinking to yourself, yeah, but I still got to wait on the sidelines until December 1st. No, you don't. You can actually sign up right now. And when we go live, new Missouri customers get $300 in bonus bets just for placing a $5 bet. $5, right? That's not even as much as a pumpkin spice latte that's going to take over the whole season and ruin your fall and your brunch afternoons in football. But DraftKings can help you, right? It's DraftKings. You got live in-game betting. If your team starts hot, you can jump in mid-play. Lightning fast payouts. None of this wait 3 days for your money nonsense. You've got more ways to get in on the action, all from your phone. When we go live, you'll be betting with the sportsbook trusted by millions. Safe, secure, fast withdrawals, everything that you want. Well, except some sort of a guarantee that your team's going to cover the spread. That part's still on you. But before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about this Chiefs-Chargers game. And I like the under at 45.5 as they head over to Brazil. This is a grass surface that was heavily criticized last year. And I know that Green Bay and Philadelphia put up some points a little bit late, but it took them a long time to do so. That doesn't really line up with what Kansas City does. They've been the best second half under team since 2023, going 29-12 in second half unders. they've stayed under essentially by 4.2 points per game. That's what they do. And factor in both these teams are going to be okay going with the run. If it's low scoring early on, they're not going to try to overcomplicate this. I like Kansas City to continue to use Pacheco now that he's healthy. Mix in Hunt, mix in some play action, keep the chains moving. And if the Chargers are on a lead, they're going to sit with that too. Plus, it's still a Jim Harbaugh team that is going to be able to lean in on that heavy run game as well. So factor in some field conditions. Usually these games that are international tend to be low scoring as well. I think this sets up really well. That line has not moved an inch from 45.5, telling me that they expect maybe a little push to the over from the public. I like going on the underside at 45.5. So if you're looking to bet 45.5, if you're looking to go in any other way, again, here is what you do. You download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use that code KCSN. When we go live December 1st, that $5 bet turns into $300 in bonus bets. Code KCSN in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Remember, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, 21 plus and physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after they're issued. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Appreciate everyone hanging out with us on a game preview edition of the KC Laboratory with Craig Stout and Maddie Lane. We are moving on to the defensive side of the ball. Time to talk a little defense. Craig, we delayed it as long as we could, but the anticipation I'm sure has been high this whole time. But here we go, buddy. Time to talk a little defense, and you can kick things off with your big question.
Sure, absolutely. My question here: who gets the most pressure via Trey Pipkins? This is happening. Listen, Chiefs fans, if you have watched the Chargers over the past several seasons, you have seen Trey Pipkins play against this Kansas City Chiefs defense. As a matter of fact, the Chargers fans that I do know rue the fact that Trey Pipkins is still on this roster because inevitably he ends up starting games. And it does not matter who's lined up against him. Whether it be Chris Jones as a defensive end, George Karlaftis, Mike Dana, Charles Omenihu, all of these guys routinely get pressure, and it's not all the same way. He gets beat with power. He gets beat around the edge. Watched him in preseason. He still looked like the same Trey Pipkins, and obviously they did not plan to start him. The unfortunate injury of Rashawn Slater it sucks. It just pure sucks, and so they moved Joe Alt to the left side. They have this guy that has routinely gotten beat by the Chiefs defensive line, and it does not matter which defensive lineman it is, routinely has gotten beat by it. So this, to me, is a race to see who can get the most pressures on Justin Herbert via Trey Pipkins specifically. Chris Jones sought him out in the second half of that early season game when the Chargers were down, offensive lineman again. He had to play offensive tackle, not just when he was playing guard. He played guard for them for most of the season last year. Kicked out to tackle in that early season matchup, and Chris Jones was dominant, just pure dominance against Trey Pipkins. Mike Dana, we talk about all the time. It's like, man, he really gets up for the Chargers. Do you know why? He's lining up against Trey Pipkins a lot of times. This is going to be route one to Justin Herbert. And we've talked a lot about this defensive line, a lot about these corners. this is a clear and obvious matchup deficiency for the Chargers right now. Steve Spagnuolo knows how to target these guys. He knows how he's going to try and get his work in on this side of the field. And all of these guys are going to be licking their chops to line up opposite him and try and get hits in on this quarterback or try and get in the backfield and stuff the run. I just think that this is such a clear and obvious mismatch that favors the Chiefs defense. We're probably not going to see one like this for the next little while because they know him so well on top of that. I just think I think the defensive line is going to be in the backfield for most of the day off that right side.
I mean, I think the easy answer is Chris Jones because there's a history of him doing things to Trey Pipkins on a football field that have been not pretty. Whether it's guard or tackle, he played guard and tackle versus the Chiefs last year. Neither game went particularly well. I do think the Chargers know that when Chris Jones is over Pipkins, they can't live in that world. So they are going to do everything they can to offer help. The problem for the Chargers is the rest of their offensive line outside of Joe Alt, who's moved to left tackle, isn't particularly good. Like you hope for good returns on Mekhi Becton, but if I'm not mistaken, he's been like battling some off-field stuff leading up all through camp. And Becton was good for the Eagles last year. He was much better as a run blocker with that fantastic offensive line around him than he was in pass protection. So now you're having him play next to Pipkins and a Bradley Bozeman who's fine as a center, and fine's like derogatory fine. And then Zion Johnson, who's been not very good in the NFL at all. Like you can't just oversell to help out against Pipkins every single play. I think they will do it when they see the Chris Jones matchup, but when it is Mike Dana, I don't think he's getting help. And Mike Dana comes alive when it's time to rush against the Chargers. And the thing about the Chiefs, this field in Brazil might be bad. We haven't talked about it at all. It's been bad before. It might be bad. That's a little bit easier to handle when you're a power rusher who goes through guys and not a speed rusher trying to work on the high side. So I could see Dana actually being the guy that leads in pressures via Trey Pipkins.
What about the ball of chaos, Ashton Gelati too? That'd be kind of fun to see too. I think I don't know if Gelati's probably not gonna be my player to watch, but I'm excited to see the ball of chaos as Maddie's coined it. I'm excited to watch the ball of chaos that is Ashton Gelati, just to kind of see how he contributes and see how Trey Pipkins handles it if he lines up over him. So sign me up for that one. That will be fun. But yeah, I think Chris will be able to find a matchup or three on that offensive line against the Chargers. So I could see him moving up and down the line a little bit, especially you're getting a game, you're getting a divisional game right off the rip. It's one of the good divisional teams. Like, I'm not saying they're going to hold nothing back, but I definitely think this is a game that you're showing a little bit more than maybe otherwise you would. So, I think this is a game where you move Chris around a little bit more. All right, Maddie, let's get to your question.
Well, okay. My question is, how does the Chiefs safety rotation shake out and who's replacing Justin Reed as the enforcer? Again, the safety rotation, I do think is a question we all have, but more than just who's playing and where are they playing, I want to know when there's a crosser coming across the middle of the field, when Ladd McConkey's coming across the middle of the field, who's going to lay him out? Who's putting that fear in the opposing offense that they are going to get depleted across the middle of the field? Because that has been Justin Reed in the past. He's not only a very good player, but he had been a very sure tackler and a big hitter to go along with linebackers, understandably. But he had kind of played a very specific role. So now going into this game, where the Chiefs have already acknowledged that Ladd McConkey's very good and he's going to play in the slot a lot, and that's a guy they have to know where he is. Do we see, with a healthy Christian Fulton and a healthy Jalen Watson right now and the Trent McDuffie, do we see more Trent McDuffie in the slot? Or are they going to go back to the Chamari Connor, who's been playing there a lot? I'm just curious about the rotation in general on what everyone goes. But at safety, it feels like we're getting more Connor and Brian Cook together than we are Jaden Hicks. And I like both those guys, but none of those players that I've mentioned between Connor and Cook, I wouldn't call either of them an enforcer. So far from what we've seen, I don't know if those guys are striking fear in anybody crossing the middle of the field. I'm not sure Hicks is that guy yet either, but I'd be willing to see it. So I'm just curious to see how this Chiefs, safety rotation plays out. Is it really Connor, Cook, and then Jaden Hicks is clearly your number 3 guy, or is it a little bit more mix and match? Are we getting all 3 on the field as much as possible? And is anybody ready to step up and make the impact that Justin Reed was able to do or not?
I like the Hicks call. I mean, I feel like we've seen a little bit of attitude out of Hicks, whether that be, him talking about, everything this preseason, his comfortability. He's a big guy. Last year, I think you remember in the Christmas Day game, breaking up a pass and then, giving the double thumbs down and all. Like, he just seems like a guy that wants to live that life and wants to be that kind of player if he gets that opportunity. That's the real question there. How often do we see 3 safety looks out of this defense? Are the Chargers going to live in a little bit more 21 personnel, which is going to force, single high safety with a box guy, which will be Shamari Connor. Obviously, he's a good tackler, good box safety in that role. So I just don't know what we're going to see from a matchup, opposite of what the Chargers offense is going to put on the field. But I want it to be Jaden Hicks. He just seems like a guy that wants to fill that role, really wants to step up and be a little bit of an enforcer, because you got to have one of those guys. I know every time we talk about it from a Chiefs perspective, when we're talking about the Chiefs offense, there's somebody that's in the middle of the field. Azeez Al-Shaair for the Houston Texans. It's like, man, I don't like the fact that the Chiefs are having to play against that guy this week. They don't have that guy right now. And Justin Reed was that guy. So I like that one a lot, Maddie. And I'm going to put my money on Hicks for that one as well.
Do we think the Chiefs are putting Trent in the slot in this game? Do we think they're doing, and like I wonder, just because like I do think that the Chargers are going to try to run the football a little bit more. Like that's what they want their identity to be. So like, do you, like, if you're in, nickel, are you trying to go your big nickel and you're trying to keep more run defenders on the field? Like I think that is like part of the formula here that you got to ask yourself. And maybe it's just like a, early late down kind of thing, right? Like, maybe it's a little bit of mix and match here, and kind of getting to see what they do here. But I don't know. I'm quite curious what those rotations are going to look like. And I don't think we have a good pulse. I think Shamari Connor has a little bit more enforcer than we've given him credit for here today. Like, I've seen some plays. He's just like, it's like it's a less controlled enforcer that maybe doesn't quite bring the boom when, like, it's like a boom or bust enforcer, and the boom isn't quite as big as like Justin Reed's, but like it's still pretty good. But I'd give him a little bit of more credit there. That's all I'm gonna say. Let's move on to my question here. Let's get my question up here. Speaking of the run defense, maybe.
Oh, 1 minute.
How does front hold up against the run? Like, so much been talked about, like Mike Pennell not being on this roster, and the thinness of the defensive line group. Omar Norman-Lott's a limited participant the last 2 days, by the way. He's not exactly the most healthy guy as we sit here today. So Chris Jones, Derek Nottie, and Jerry Tillery is your rotation on the defensive line right now, and hopefully Omar Norman-Lott can play. But that's it. And there's a lot of questions, I think, for Chiefs fans about how the run defense along the interior is going to hold up when you look at the construction of this interior group, because they have one true nose tackle. It's Derek Nottie, who was very up and down last year. There is no Pennell here to save you. Are you getting a call up from one of the practice squatters? Are we going to see Marlon Tuipulotu? Are we going to see Broderick Martin getting the call up here immediately to help bolster the interior and give themselves more options at the nose tackle position? How are they going to navigate this? And how are they going to hold up against the run? Because I don't look at this group of defensive tackles and see an exceptional run defense by any of them outside of Derek Nottie. And even Derek Nottie, I don't even know I would call him an outstanding run defender. I would call him a run defender. Just like a run defender. And like, there's warts with Chris.
Derogatory? Question mark?
Derogatory. There's warts with Chris. Jerry Tillery, I don't think, has been a reliable, consistent run defender in the past. And Omar Norman-Lott, his role at Tennessee, his college team didn't even put him in those situations. I know we can say, just because he didn't doesn't mean he can. Very up and down during the preseason too. So how's this front going to hold up when you look at the construction of this group? And I think that's the big question, I think, for me with the run defense.
Well, I think this kind of, again, ties into like where I was thinking with the safety rotation. I think you might get a lot of heavy personnel from the Chargers, and therefore you might get a lot of the Chiefs and base defense, right? And if that's the case, then you're probably going to get just the 2 safeties out there for the vast majority of it. You probably won't get to figure out if Trent McDuffie or Chamari Connor's in the slot for full time or whatever it might be. So yeah, I do think you got to see how this run defense can hold up. I mean, I've said it earlier, but I'll say it again. It's not like Mike Pennell's a Hall of Fame level player, but he was one of the Chiefs' best, if not the Chiefs' best defensive lineman versus the run. And what he does is he allows him to get into second and longs. He allows him to get to third and mediums and longs. And when you do that, you activate what Spag's best traits are as a defensive coordinator. The blitz packages, the ability to disguise coverages and move guys around. There's a big difference when it's 2nd and 7 versus 2nd and 5 or 2nd and 4. And the same thing from 3rd down. 3rd and short is entirely different than 3rd and medium. And so where Spags thrives is when you have those passing downs that start to arrive. If you can't get teams into passing downs, and the Chiefs in the past have had trouble with that. They haven't always been the most stout run defending team. Your offense has to put up points to make teams chase, and maybe that's the route this goes. I do wonder if the Chiefs are going to be able to keep a Chargers team led by Greg Roman and Harbaugh, who are going to want to run the ball downhill, and probably they might play again a lot of heavy. Tyler Conklin's a pretty good second tight end to go out there with Will Disley. Like, those are two decent, like that's enough blocking tight ends right there, right? Like you can make that work. So I just do wonder if you get a lot of base defense and what that looks like. Can the Chiefs force these 3rd and longs so that way they can focus in on a Ladd McConkey, or are they going to be on their heels all the time throughout the game?
Okay, so these two gentlemen talked about that. We got a super chat a little earlier in the show from Charlie Sinclair here saying, for the defensive portion, do you think the Chiefs will be able to stop the run? Talked a little bit about that. What if they can't? I want to talk about that for a little bit here. I don't want to see Scott Matlock on the field for the Chargers. Scott Matlock is the Chargers fullback. That's right. I'm scared of a fullback taking the field because this defense, as good as Nick Bolton is at identifying where he needs to go, where everybody else needs to go, when there are two backs in the backfield, this defense doesn't know its head from its ass lately. Like, it is a struggle against 21 personnel. What did Greg Roman do all the time in Baltimore? Yeah, he had a quarterback that they ran the read option a lot and they could run the pistol all the time, but it was a lot of two-back sets when they did have Lamar under center. I am terrified of what this looks like if the Chargers are able to line up, stay in heavy personnel with the Chiefs, as you know, these two acknowledged here. The defensive tackle group is not especially deep, and Chris Jones is what he is, and we expect that he's going to make an impact of this game. But the other two guys, if Omar Norman-Lott can't play, you better hope that they are defending the run well, because they're going to need all the help that they can get. This linebacker group seems to just get extra confused when there's that extra gap that is created by having that back in the backfield. So if we see a lot of Scott Matlock, 21, 22 personnel, has two tight ends on the field as well, yeah, it gets Leo Chenal. We get really excited about Leo Chenal taking the field. When it's in this scenario, it's bad. It has been historically bad for the Chiefs. It's just not been particularly good. So if that's the case, and we are seeing a lot of that heavy personnel with two backs in the backfield, I am worried about what this looks like. And that's the way the Chargers can win this game. They can take the air out of the ball. They can extend drives that way. I mentioned Trey Pipkins and how the Chiefs are going to have route one to the quarterback through him. What if they don't have route one through the quarterback because they can just run at will? We saw what that looked like in week 2 of the preseason. Granted, none of the Chiefs starters were playing in that game, but that Seattle defense or Seattle offense just played bully ball and ran all over the Chiefs. Some of those guys are going to be playing football this weekend in week 1. I need to see a better performance against the run because it could cascade pretty quickly if the Chargers are able to identify that and exploit that one gap that the Chiefs defense has stopping the run.
Cascade, Craig says.
That's it. Why you're just picking out the most benign words that I say in everything. I know. I did that on purpose for you, buddy.
I just, every now and then you just spice up the vocabulary a little bit, and I like it. It's okay. Let's move to defensive players to watch. How about that? Craig.
I'll make this quick. It's Christian Fulton. It's a revenge game for Christian Fulton. I don't know how often we're going to see him. We're going to figure out what that cornerback rotation looks like. Trent McDuffie is going to be on the field regardless of if it's base, nickel, dime, whatever the case may be. Does Christian Fulton get the nod over Jalen Watson, or is this a Jalen Watson game? If the Chargers get to be in a little bit more of their lighter personnel, 11 personnel, then all of a sudden I want to see, can we put Christian Fulton on a Keenan Allen, on a Quentin Johnston, and trust that he's going to hold up on the outside? I want to see this cornerback room succeed. This would go a long way if when they get into those obvious passing situations, if they feel like they can rely on those three guys and get a little bit more sophisticated in what they could do with their safeties.
Right?
Let's go with Nick Bolton. Craig kind of talked about it. I do think that you're going to get some fullback runs from the Chargers and the Chiefs in general under Spag's tenure. And this probably traces back longer, but they have been really bad. It goes back to Hitchens and other linebackers too. So it's not just a Bolton thing. They've been really bad versus 21 personnel runs. Like they just can't seem to quite figure out how to do it. And I do think Nick Bolton, and I'm not trying to put all the blame on him, but I don't think he's played his best versus those runs either. He gets fitted up on really poorly by the fullbacks and gets really kicked out of a gap. Like he doesn't do a good job making the impact, coming in and compressing anything with that. And other guys don't do a good job as well. So I do think Nick Bolton's going to be in a very key spot here to help stop the run. I think without Reed here, you have lost one of your leaders, one of your guys to communicate and stuff. And this isn't a Justin Reed did all this stuff. It's just now this all falls onto Nick Bolton. He is now the sole guy in charge of getting kind of everybody organized and on the same page. Brian Cook sounds like he's one of the leaders on the back end to get the entire secondary, with what Bolton's call is, but it still puts a lot more pressure on the one guy who's been doing that for a while. So I do think this game, depending on what they see, how they see it, Nick Bolton probably needs to have a pretty good game, both on what we can tell watching, but then also just how the other players are reacting off of what he says, the checks he's making, what he is seeing pre-snap, just as much as for the play afterwards.
Early on last season, I thought Leo Chenal was the best Sam in football, especially against the run. Like he started the season exceptionally. Like as the season wore on, like I think there were some up and down moments, but there's a chance Leo Chenal is the best interior defensive player against the run for this team. They drop him in the B gap. They walk him up at a 3-tech, and he just disrupts some things. Like I think you've got to weaponize Leo Chenal to help support your run defense a little bit here, especially when you're thin and the types of players that you have in the interior. Like just mix some things up and weaponize Leo Chenal a little bit differently. Get him in on some run blitzes, drop him there, walked up into the B gap and see what happens, because there has been a lot of bright moments for him defending the run in those situations. So I think Leo Chenal is going to be my defensive player to watch here for this game, especially if the Chargers are going to go heavy. That means you're going to see more of him. You're going to get those opportunities to see him. So I think Leo's got an opportunity to make an impact in the run defense.
Leo lined up over the B gap with Cooper McDonald on the outside. I see the vision now. I see why he's on the 53. That's it.
Golly, does Cooper McDonald, is he on the active roster?
No, he's not going to be on the active roster. I think
I'm gonna laugh if he is for Maddie's sake.
Oh, I'm going to celebrate if he is, but he's not going to be.
Let's predict this game. Let's predict game 1 of the 2025 season. It is time to do it. Craig, what you got?
Hey, did you guys know that this game was being played in Brazil and that the Chiefs, as we record this right now, have landed in Brazil? Shout out to Rodrigo Ramos for listening from Sao Paulo. Really appreciate you tuning in here. The Chiefs are in. The Chiefs are there. This is going to be a game that is going to kind of show what the Chiefs are going to be all season long. I don't think this season is going to be full of Andy keeping things close to the vest. I think that these players are tired of having regular season performances that they don't love. I think they are tired of having close games. I think they're tired of all of that swarming around them. I think they want to come out and set the tone early and often this season. They want to go out there. They want to show they can throw the ball deep. They want to show that they can run the ball. They want to show that they've got a good defense. They can stop a variety of offenses. I think that we are going to see them unload the clip a little bit more than we have in previous seasons. Not all the way. Andy's not, that's just not in his nature. But I think we're going to see a lot less conservative play calls from Andy. Spags has never been conservative, so I'm not worried about that at all. I think this is a game that on the box score is not going to look particularly close. I think the Chiefs are going to outgain them in total yardage by a significant amount. Time of possession is going to go to the Chargers because they're going to run the ball really well, but it's really not going to matter in the grand scheme of things. I think the Chiefs come out of here. They're going to win this one 24-14 in a game that looks a lot more lopsided than that because the Chiefs come out of the gate, they score a lot early, the offense is clicking, and then they realize, oh, hey, this defense has it under wraps because Trey Pipkins can't block. So we're going to see this team just kind of pack it up in the second half and get home healthy.
Oh, me. My bad. I think
I missed it. I missed it so much last year. I really did miss that.
So I go back and forth this. I'm with Craig that I think the Chiefs offense is going to come out with a little bit more to prove. And maybe it's not even an Andy thing. Just maybe the players are just like, hey, we're kind of tired of hearing about this. And we heard a little bit how it was stressful for Mahomes and that offense to constantly having to be pulling out all these close games. I do think they come out with a little chip on their shoulder. They want to prove a point. I think offensively they match up relatively well, assuming we get quality offensive line play. Like that's something we're definitely wanting to pay attention to from this game. But if they get even just quality offensive line play, I do think the Chiefs should be able to move the ball. Conversely, I think the Chargers will be able to move the ball too. I am a little nervous about this Chiefs run defense versus a team that I think is going to be more than willing to feed Omarion Hampton the ball 800,000 times and Najee Harris, going right only. And then we'll see what if the Chiefs can get off the field or anything like that. So I could see it not being a high possession game, but I still think the Chiefs take it. I think it's a comfortable 27-17 victory. They stay out ahead. I just don't think the Chargers will be able to match, but I do think it'll limit like fireworks because of how well they can control the ball.
You know what the best run defense is a good offense. And I cannot tell you how excited I am to watch the Kansas City Chiefs show a lot of people up in week one. I think this team, I could not agree with both of you more. I think this team is done with the formula that, yes, got them on the doorstep of a three-peat. But I think they want to get back to having some fun. And I think they want to get back to pushing the ball. I think they want to get back to the offense leading this team from the front and maybe not as much game management as much as it is like, let's go score. Let's go put some points on the board. Let's be aggressive here. I think Patrick Mahomes takes some of this stuff personally. No, I don't think. I know Patrick Mahomes takes this stuff personally. He takes everything said personally. And he should, candidly. Some of this stuff, it's getting dumber just because the Chiefs didn't three-peat. God forbid they lose a game in the Super Bowl. God forbid. Okay, well, let's shut everyone up. And let's put 31 points on the board on a divisional rival in a different country and start the season out with a bang. One of the best offenses in football resides in Kansas City, and everyone will be reminded when they win 31-20 in Sao Paulo on YouTube. That is going to do it for this episode of the KC Laboratory. Thank you all so much for listening, watching, supporting. We love you. We appreciate you, and we'll see you after the Chiefs are 1-0 on Friday night. Catch you later.
Soft launching that Chiefs Super Bowl package.
Hooray.